Welcome back to another episode of Discography Dive, where we dive into someone's discography, mainstream or undercover. The artist we'll be diving into today, Lil Nas X. Now, Lil Nas X, for those who don't know, it's a pop artist originating from Atlanta, Georgia. He's local. Let's go. Who is known for some of the biggest hits in the industry and also some of the biggest controversies in the music industry in general. Now, personally, I'm a big fan of him. I've always enjoyed him, obviously, since he blew up. Old Town Road was obviously the song I found him off of. But even the songs that didn't blow up as much that he released after, I really enjoyed before the second wave of him blowing up again. Obviously, the song blowing him up was Old Town Road. And while that did substantial numbers, it wasn't until he actually released the remix featuring none other than country singer, country legend Billy Ray Cyrus, father of Miley Cyrus. And once he put that on, he kind of took the rocket he was strapped to and like poured gasoline on it and lit it on fucking fire, and kind of just went from the moon to ultra galaxy levels of popularity. But people must remember that he even faced controversy back then, being that even though Billy Ray Cyrus, who is who is loved heavily in the country music department, the country charts refused to put his song on there to recognize it as a country type song, despite the theme of it and the western theme of it, and how Billy Ray Cyrus turned it quasi into a semi country track. That being said, it didn't stop him from for him breaking the record for the longest a song has stayed on number one charts ever. Old Town Road. I don't remember the exact number, but it stayed up there for a fucking while, and it dominated the world. So it's safe to say that song, the Billy Ray Cyrus version, is on my playlist. He made a couple of remixes of it, that went under the radar, that didn't really go over that well. He did RM of BTS. He did a Diplo remix, which is, I guess, kind of a club one. But the one I really enjoyed was actually the one with Mason Ramsey, who, if you don't remember him, he was the yodeling boy from Walmart, who actually is an artist who's actually a musical artist who like travels around the world and like performs, and none other than Young Thug, all on the same track. And I personally like this one a lot. I listen to this, as far as right now, I listen to this a lot more than the original. While Young Thug does come on right underwritten, but he comes on with that swag. You know what I'm saying? It's very nice, right? Then the Billy Ray Cyrus comes in after. Like obviously Lil Nas is going first, but like Billy Ray Cyrus comes in, right? And then it transitions to Mason, the yodeling boy. And he has one of the greatest bars I've ever heard in my life. I-O, yippee yo kaye. If you ain't got no giddy up, then giddy out my way. I was like, this boy's spitting. This boy's different. He's different. He's just different. But then we dive into his first mini project, 7 EP, which the title it's in the song. The title of it's in itself. It's an EP, but it's actually 8 songs. But one of them is the Old Town Road and the Old Town Road remix. So it really just one song. So really is, and realistically, 7 different songs. And back then, he was hailed as nothing but a one-hit wonder, which, looking into this, I can really see why they would think that. Obviously, as a fan, I didn't believe that because I saw the potential he had. Lil Nas X understood artistry and performance, right? And so when he released, Old Town Road and all that stuff, I saw the potential of him sounding different from everybody else because he had a unique sound, which is one of the hardest things to obtain in the music industry. He has unique instrumentals using drums and horns and more of like band instruments more than anybody else really used it. He was more of a pop style that was sonically pleasing to the ear, so much so that people would say he's for kids, even though if you looked at the lyrics, he's definitely not. But you can look at the 7 EP, you can see why people thought that. Panini was kind of big after that. Panini got actually pretty big, nowhere near as big as Lil Nas X's Old Town Road. We wouldn't see a song get that big for quite a minute. But coming off the wave of Old Town Road, Panini actually did really good numbers, and people really forget that based off of what I'll talk about later. But besides that, Family, You and Me with Travis Barker wasn't very good. Kick It was, again, your very standard, just, I don't know what it was, honestly. It's catchy, but what the fuck is he really talking about besides it? I don't know. Then Rodeo dropped featuring Cardi B. And Rodeo was one of these ones that people slept on, but it was very good. I think it's pretty catchy. Cardi B drops a verse that I'm like, it's okay, even though I'm not the biggest Cardi B fan. I can still appreciate what she did on it. It's all right, but she does have some cringe bars on there. I'm So Hard, Armadillo. What? Bring You Down showed his melodic singing. And if you compare the singing to on this album, you can see the meteoric jump from where he was at 7 EP to his album. Closure was, again, just okay. So besides the big bangers that he released as singles, there's nothing really memorable on this whole entire EP. Again, it was seen. You could see why, based off that, why people thought that he was just going to be another guy to do a one-hit wonder and to never be seen from again. Even a Rodeo remix that he dropped that I actually really enjoyed to put on the playlist, featuring Nas. I like Nas's verse. I think it's pretty catchy. I enjoy it a lot. But again, another one of those songs that, again, nothing really memorable per se. Yeah, keep in mind that he started dropping, that he really blew up in like 2019. So he didn't really, and it's 2022. So the guy's only been, and the album was dropped in 2021. So the guy's only been out of here 2 years, and he's done a phenomenal job in just 2 years. Because once we get out of that era of Old Town Road era, we get into this first and only song of 2020, Holiday. And Holiday really peeked into the more of how artsy he really is, how he understands performance, how very theater he is. The music video I love the music video more than anything. The song is great, it's infectious, showing again his pop, but again, people really didn't like him that much based on the fact that there was nothing really to dig into. It was already established to the point that actually Lil Nas X on the last day of Pride Month came out as gay. And while people were surprised, they didn't necessarily have a problem with it. The controversies based around his sexuality preference wouldn't come until a little bit later. And then he drops his song that would be next big viral thing that actually eclipsed is the beginning of what eclipsed his Old Town Road era, Montero, Call Me By Your Name. Now, the song itself, really good, really catchy, love it. But what blew him up the most was the music video. Again, really diving into the homosexual thing, not really being any like really not closeted, but not really shying away from it, kind of diving into the angle of being gay. He kind of does all these religious callbacks to, Garden of Eden, chapter of Samson, and he even ends up, the part that makes it the most controversial was when he started giving the devil a lap dance. Now, again, am I to say this is not weird? No, it was fucking weird. I actually arrived late because people were making a big deal out of him, and they were saying, oh, he's gay, and I'm like, yeah, we knew this for about a year, man. What the hell's the problem? And they kind of made it a big deal. So I watched it, and I was like, okay, I can see why, but they also missed out on everything else leading up to that and the kind of messaging he's throwing at you subliminally. So I think really he's calling out a lot of religious people, because again, he's literally showing different chapters of the Bible, and which I think, again, based on how the whole thing is done, it's very genius actually. And people tend to have this blurry vision of how that video really plays out. So I encourage people to actually go watch it and see what the messages are, because I actually think, it's actually done very, very well. And I think if you look past, obviously, the weird shit at the end, I think you'll actually see what the hell he's actually talking about. And again, this was the song that, again, proved that he was not a one-hit wonder, that this literally eclipsed his era of Old Town Road that people don't really talk about right now. And this was kind of a jump from Everything Was Better, from his instrumental choice to his singing to his rapping or to his lyrics. Everything got better. This was kind of the start of just this run that we're about to see. Next is another single from his eventually released album, Sun Goes Down, which again was very overlooked. A song where, again, going into more of his homosexuality, but going into if you watch the music video, you listen to the story, it's actually him talking to his high school self and him going back in time and talking to him, saying it's okay, do not kill yourself, it gets better because of the simple fact of you are gay and you don't know how to deal with these thoughts at the time. Talks about how they said his lips were too big, how he was too dark, insecurities, his fears, gay thoughts that he had, and praying God takes it from him. Really, one of the more introspective songs that he dropped. I loved it, and I think it really dove more into him as a person. It was much more eye opening to who the person was, besides the big hits on the radio and the big hits on the charts. And his final single that he dropped before he dropped his album was "Industry Baby." Obviously, everybody knows what that song is, featuring Jack Harlow. Again, his third tremendously big hit song. A song that, again, it never really eclipsed Montero, but it was on the same level, and this further establishing him as like he is here. He is here to stay. He is here to make a mark on music, and he's not to be played with. Infectious chorus. The horns on this are beautiful. He really just performs it really well. Jack Harlow gives you one of the smoothest verses of that year. It was then after this song came out for a little bit, he then announced the album Montero, which again had a very interesting lead up where he just pretended he was pregnant. And overall, the album, I enjoyed it. I'll go down and I'll talk about each track on here. Obviously, he opens up with Montero, Call Me By Your Name, which I already talked about. Dead Right Now is good. Not really anything really that memorable. After that is Industry Baby. Again, I've already talked about that. And the next big song on there was actually That's What I Want, detailing a story of him or a guy who fell in love with this football player who was also gay or bisexual, and kind of then finding out that he was actually gay, and that the person he was with was actually gay in secret and actually had a whole wife and kid, or girlfriend since they're in the high school, but still. And kind of talking about how he wants somebody to love me, he just needs somebody to actually be there for him. Just a very poppy heartbreak song, which again, very pleasant to the ears. I personally like it a lot. Next, we had Scoop featuring Doja Cat, and Scoop is okay, kind of over repetitive. Don't really like Doja Cat's verse. She sounds like sounds like a B-Tech Nicki Minaj or a nasally Kendrick Lamar. One of Me featuring Elton John kind of dove into, again, all the things I'm talking about now, talking about how people said, if it ain't Old Town Road, you're the first thing to go, you'll never do another hit, and you're just this one-trick pony. Elton John playing the pianos beautifully in the background, as he is famously known for doing. And this whole album kind of had genres of, like more poppy tunes of rock, kind of rap, and melodic crooning or melodic singing. Lost in the Citadel is an example of one of these more rock cuts. And as the album went down, you could see how more introspective and more layered his writing actually got. Whereas he had all the happier, poppy, radio-friendly tunes, the second half of the album really was more of a sadder, somber feeling and more of just, this is who I am, this is honest, you guys want to know who I am, this is who I am. And $sign Slime was the last of these really just poppy bangers. Him kind of detailing his journey. He's saying like top of the game, only 22, which I think people really need to understand that this dude is still a kid. He's still a kid, and the amount of shit he's done, these Grammys, these #1 billboards, these like platinum records he's gotten, is really something that we really need to talk about, really need to appreciate while he's here, and kind of look past the fact that even though he likes men, which even though, yes, it's kind of weird that he throws it in your face all the time, I don't necessarily agree with him throwing it in the face all the time, but at the end of the day, He never said he was made for kids. And if you don't like it, don't really watch it. Tales of Dominica, I really, really love. It's one of those songs where he starts off with strings, guitars, and he's kind of talking through depression, anxieties, fear, failure, all this stuff. Talking about, could I be wrong? Was everything they said right about me, essentially? Sun Goes Down, again, more of the somber side. I already talked about Sun Goes Down. I love that track. Void, which I think is one of his more creative songs, actually kind of details. It's kind of a letter writing to, I guess, a friend or whoever about um, how sad he is, and he's gonna run away from home because he doesn't feel safe at home at all. Dead Right Now, actually going back to Dead Right Now, that song actually ties back into Dead Right Now because he kind of details the relationship with his mother and how she didn't support him at all and how she mistreated him. Don't Want It kind of is it's kind of more of a shorter song, but more of an anthem song, kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of more of a song showing that, hey, I'm here. I kind of did what the fuck you guys told me I couldn't do. Like a good chunk of the song actually being an interlude of when he actually won a Grammy. This very rock, heavy, just heavy, darker, heavy track. I think his melody is blatant of Eminem's Mockingbird. Na 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 na. Life After Salem, again, is another really kind of darker rock track. Pretty good. Again, nothing really that memorable. I didn't really enjoy it that much. And last but not least, the final track of Am I Dreaming featuring Miley Cyrus, where he is singing beautifully. He pulls out this beautiful singing out of Miley Cyrus that I have not heard in a while. You get to really hear the country in her voice. You get to really hear the power in her voice, especially what she's talking about and what they are talking about, and them working together actually blended very, very well. The album, again, very solid. I think there's much more to dig into than people are saying. Yes, it's very pop. A lot of it can be generic, but I do like the direction this is going. It's nothing really awful, and I do think that a lot of people kind of give him shit because of the fact that how he came out and how he really and once he came out as gay and what he really did with that, I think is kind of where he gets the most shit from. But if you look at it on a basis of just a talent level, and you even look at it to where say he never came out or he was never gay in the first place, if you look at just the level of stuff he's been doing from where he started in just 2 to 3 years, from him to Old Town Road to be his first biggest hit, and for that entire thing to be eclipsed by Montero, Industry Baby, then he drops an album that, again, is nothing but bangers, pretty much essentially from front to back. I think we really need to talk about, appreciating him on just an artistry level, because sexual preference aside, how he acts in public, again, with his sexual preference aside, he's one of the top artists in the industry right now. And he's kind of he's strapped himself on this rocket, and the way he marketed himself in such a genius way, it really isn't talked about enough. But that being said, though, there is still a lot more to be desired from Lil Nas X. There's a lot more layered writing. I'm very interested to see where he was going. He's very good he's obviously knows how to make the hits, but can he make the layers? Is there more stuff to dig into about who he is as a person, and to really make that more of a personal thing for him and for his audience? But on the playlist, obviously, I had Old Town Road, Panini, Old Town Road Remix, with Billy Ray Cyrus with Young Thug and Mason Ramsey, Rodeo, Holiday, Sun Goes Down, Montero, Industry Baby. Then I had off the album, That's What I Want, One of Me, Dollar Sign Slime, Tales of Dominica, Void, Don't Want It, and Am I Dreaming? If I were to give him a rating so far, I would give him a light to decent 7. Again, very, very good. Very, very happy with what he's done so far. Very, very proud to see the progress. Especially look at from the 7 EP to his album. It's like night and day. But with that being said, there's still a lot more work to be done, and I can't wait to see where he does next. Today's Discography Dive was on none other than Lil Nas X. Stay safe. Love y'all. Bye-bye.